Hello, I'm Miss Kwon, and this is either US history or government. I'm giving the same presentation for both classes. The information is the same, and I'm excited to be sharing this information with parents virtually. Just a little bit about myself. I am an almost native of Fullerton. I moved to Fullerton when I was in fifth grade, went to Sunset Lane, Parks, and then Sunny Hills. I then went to UC Irvine, graduated with a degree in history, and I came back to Sunny Hills in 1994 as a teacher. I have a student teacher this year. His name is Mr. Wan. He also is a graduate of Sunny Hills High School. He then went to Cal Poly Pomona and received his degree in history and is currently getting his teaching credential at Cal State Long Beach. This is the presentation I shared with your son or daughter on the first day of school. And the two things I really wanted to emphasize here is the importance of communicating with me and checking Google Classroom and their email. It's really important that students communicate with me. I'm doing my best to keep things as clear as possible, as accessible for all students as possible, whether they are in class or not. But I think if students are confused about anything, I'm sure a little bit of communication right off the bat would clear up any confusion or misunderstandings. And if your son or daughter, if you are confused about something, I would first, direct them to Google Classroom, where they will find a lot of the information that they will need for this class. In terms of instructions, the assignments will be both in the form of packets slash handouts, which students will receive in class. I will be uploading the digital versions of these so that students can print them out if they're absent or if they lose their packet and they need another copy. Students will also be getting assignments digitally through GoFormative, Google Classroom, Google Forms, Google Docs, etc. And at the end of each unit, there will be an end of unit assessment, and it will be called this. It will later be abbreviated to EUA, and this will be in the form of a test, a quiz, a project, or an essay, but it will be called an end of unit assessment. And this is important because it leads me to my final point on this slide, which is the late work policy. Students will have 4 days after the end of a unit to turn in assignments for that unit. So whether a unit is 5 days long or 2 weeks long, let's say unit 2 is 2 weeks long, students have 4 days from the end of unit assessment to turn in any assignment from that unit. If the assignment was assigned 2 weeks ago, but the end of unit assessment isn't until 10 days later, students will have 4 days from that last assignment, from that end of unit assignment, to turn in anything. And this will be for full credit. So this will give students who just may need some more time on things. It will give them that additional time that they will need. If students forgot to do an assignment, it will give them that additional time that they will need, or that additional opportunity to get any missing assignments in. However, it's very important that students understand that if they see a grade in Aries, or if they see a zero in Aries, or if you see a missing assignment in Aries, that is not the time for students to come to me asking for additional time because of this late work policy. It is best that students check Google Classroom and when the end of unit assessment is, rather than relying on Aries. By the time a grade is posted in Aries, it is most likely too late. Um, I want students to be trained in looking at Google Classroom and taking the deadlines and due dates seriously. They do have, even our mortgages, we have a window of opportunity. There's the deadline, and then there is a window of opportunity, a 2 week period in which to really pay the mortgage before they start adding late fees. And waiting until a grade is in Aries is not that 2 week window of time. The window of time is um, during the unit, students being aware of what assignments they are responsible for, and when that end of unit assessment takes place. Once that end of a unit assessment takes place, they have 4 days to really get that assignment in. After that, it will be too late. In terms of grades, the grade scale is pretty standard. The only thing that is not standard is the D grade. The passing grade in this class or percentage in this class is a 58%, not 57.9. If a student receives a 57.9, I will not be rounding up because I've already lowered the passing grade to 58%, so something to be aware of. Again, I wanted to emphasize how important it is that students are aware that it is their responsibility to keep track of their deadlines, to keep track of assignments in the class, not when grades are posted in Aries. That by then it's too late, and or most likely too late. And I emphasized with the students that their grades should be a reflection of the work that they've done throughout the semester, not the last weeks or days of the semester. That for some students and parents, that seems to be something that happens. I've even gotten parent phone calls the day before finals, asking if there was any way for students to pass when they had, an F grade. I mean, there's a difference between a 57% F grade and a 40% F grade. And unfortunately, that puts me in an uncomfortable position where I will most likely not tell them things that they want to hear. So I definitely would like to emphasize to students that it's important that they understand that their final grade is an accumulation of the work that they've done throughout the semester. Of course, there are accommodations and allowances that I make throughout the semester if students communicate with me. That 4 day window of time to turn in late work is part of that accommodation. Finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about Google Classroom and emphasize how important it is for parents to understand how to navigate through their son or daughter's Google Classroom. If you really want to know what's going on and help them stay on track, it's very important that you understand how Google Classroom works in each of the students' classrooms. Each teacher uses Google Classroom differently, so that's a challenge for your son or daughter. And so I thought I'd give you a brief tutorial on how Google Classroom works in mine. And I'm more than happy to sit down and give you a short lesson in person if you would like one during my conference period, which is second period. But first thing I'd recommend is get their password so that you can access this. It is very important. This is the new backpack. I don't know if you do backpack checks. My parents did backpack checks, and every once in a while, my mom would come into my room and open up my backpack and go through and see what was in there and see what she found. And I think the Chromebook has become the new backpack. So definitely. Have their password so that you can gain access to their Chromebook so you can see what's going on, especially in their Google Classroom. First of all, every day I will be posting in the stream. This is like kind of the announcement section of Google Classroom. This is the first thing students will see when they open up Google Classroom. And I will be posting the daily agenda, as you can see here. Here is an example. And then I will be attaching a Google slide. The Google slide will be for the week. And each week, at the beginning of each week, I will post up a Google slide presentation. And the importance of this is not only will the Google slide have that day's agenda, it will have the entire week's agenda along with the homework assignment. Of course, things might get adjusted as the week goes on, as things change, but I will continue. It's something that I will update on an ongoing basis. So if students are absent, all they need to do is check the week's agenda on the Google slide and they can see what we did. Also, I will be hyperlinking all the assignments to it. So all they need to do is click on anything that looks hyperlinked and it will take them right to the assignment that we did. In the classwork section, mine will look a little different from students, but in the classwork section, this gives you a little snapshot into what my week looks like. And the topics every I will go week to week to week. So each week they will get a listing of all the different assignments, so it's easy for them to check. And for the first thing I wanted to point out is there will be a resources section. This would include things like test reviews, any resources for homework, any other resources that are just random things that we use in the classroom. I also will post up any handouts. If it's not already posted as a handout, any handouts or packets, digital versions of things that I've given in class, I will post those digital versions in here. As you can see here, I posted a handout. These handouts and packets, even though I post them in Google Classroom and I give a digital version, if they are marked as handouts or packets, I expect them to be turned in person. This is for students who are absent or who lost their packet and will need to print out a fresh copy. I've made them available in a digital format. But if it's as handout or packet, I would like students to print these out, do them, and then turn them into me in person. Every day, students will also receive a brief warm-up assignment. These are like 5 points. They're not worth a lot, but they do add up because it is something that we do every single day. And again, the assignments like these will be hyperlinked on the Google slide. As you can see, this looks really busy. So the Google slide will be helpful. The agendas and the hyperlinked agendas items will be very helpful for students to organize the day's assignments. Finally, notes. Notes will be given in the form of Nearpods. The student-paced ones are for students who are absent or would like to review their notes. But if students have been in class, they will have done the live version. If they did the live version and they signed into the live version, then I will be giving them points based off of that report. If students were absent, if they don't remember, then they need to check their attendance and reference the date on the Nearpod. There are two ways they can look at it. And if they were absent, if they were marked absent that day, they should do the Nearpod so that they can get points. And so this is why it's important for students to look at Google Classroom rather than Aries for missing assignments. By the time I get around to grading these assignments and posting them into Aries, a lot of time has gone by. So for them, it is really important for them to check Google Classroom for the most up-to-date information. That pretty much concludes this presentation. If you have any further questions or concerns or ongoing concerns throughout the semester, if something comes up, please feel free to contact me. I've posted my Google phone number. I do have a classroom phone number, but I thought the Google phone number would be more helpful. Not only can you leave a message, I receive notifications via email. You can also send me a text message. It's unfortunately not linked to my phone, but I will receive the notification via email. Also, there is my email address here and my conference period. This is the period in which I am available to meet with parents. That is in the morning. It's second period. If you would like to meet with me outside of that, then I'd be more than happy to make that time for you. Thank you very much, and I hope we all have a great year. Bye.